Hey garden friends, welcome back to Not Quite Homesteading, ESK Garden. Today I'm going to be taking you guys on an end of February garden tour. So much has changed in the garden since our last visit, and I'm excited to share it with you today. I'm doing this ahead of my March planting, so you guys will always get to see the state of the garden before I start adding new things to it. I appreciate all of our new garden friends that have joined us on this journey in the last couple of weeks, and I cannot say how encouraging that it is to me to know that you guys are interested in both coming along and supporting the journey, offering encouraging words, advice, and I truly appreciate that. If you are someone that is visiting this channel for the first time, if you're a gardening enthusiast, if you're someone that just loves a good gardening journey, or if you're a new gardener like me looking for a supportive community, definitely join us, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment down below. Let's engage and have some fun around this gardening thing. I'll start on this side. I have some spearmint that I planted a few weeks ago. It looks like I'm starting to see some buds come up. I'm super excited about this because I have not had the best experience with trying to plant mint of any kind from seed. So if you guys can see that there are little green specks coming up, so I think we have some germination. Hopefully they survive. In my last tour, I talked a little bit about this plant, and I wasn't sure if it was going to come back up because I think it is a winter plant. I don't remember the name or variety of it, but if you do know it, let me know what it is down below. And it actually bloomed back. I think once we got past like the really cold weather, we started to get some pretty nice blooms, and it's been doing good ever since. So definitely going to keep this around for as long as it's beautiful and blooming. These are our raspberry plants that we just planted with you guys, and they're not doing anything yet, but hopefully they're getting situated and getting ready to kind of put on some new skin. It looks like this one in particular is losing its like dead wood. It's kind of shaving it off and trying to come alive, so hopefully we'll see the same over the next month or so and see some difference in the plants. My blueberry plants are doing two different things over here. So I have this one, and again, I don't remember the varieties, like which one is which. I know one is a Centurion, one is a Brightwell, but this one has been putting on blooms for about the last month or so. The blooms have swole, and now we're starting to get flower buds, which is really nice. My only concern is that this one, while there are blooms, I'm not 100% certain if they're really alive or if there's something that I need to do with the plant. So if you kind of recognize, what could be going on with this plant, let me know in the comments if there's anything you think I need to do. And the only reason I think that there's nothing wrong with it is because you can see that there's green on the plant, there's red on the plant, so you can tell that there are some newer branches off compared to like the old wood here in the center. I don't see any, well actually I do see some kind of shutting going on, so I don't know, maybe this one is just a late bloomer. I just don't want to have one tree super advanced and one is way behind when they're supposed to be helping pollinate one another. Like the purpose of having both trees is so that they can both produce fruit in abundance. Now I'm considering getting a third tree for that reason, because I just don't want to run into any issues. I don't have a problem if that one takes a little longer, maybe because it was at the nursery sitting dormant for however long and it needs a little bit more time. But with one already fruiting, one already blossoming, I just want to make sure that I have what I need for the plant to do well. And I'm like looking over my head because I think there's like a hawk up there, and this bird is like so big. I don't know if y'all can see that. Oh, I can't keep up. It probably doesn't look that big on camera, but with him flying over my head, I can see the size, and he's like so big. All right, so to our grow bags. These are my Nantes carrots. Now, if you guys remember when I first, if you guys remember in the last video I showed you, these were barely green at that time. And like I said, I had been not fertilizing them and realized I made a really big mistake. So I went ahead and fertilized them really well at the beginning of the month. This is how they're looking. I will say a lot of my plants over the last couple of days, because we've had significant warm weather, have done a lot of growth just in like the last 4 or 5 days. Here are my spinach plants and my mini romaine. Now these plants look a little crazy, but that is because pollen season has started for us, and the pollen here is god awful. So they are covered in pollen. They look completely dusty, dusted and crusty. And it's like, oh my god, that is how much pollen we get here. Like, I have a black car, y'all, and my car is green right now. These are our parsnips, also looking pretty nice and green, and I have no idea when these are going to be ready, but they are looking pretty good. The only thing I will say with these is I did give them a dose of, like, I gave all these patio bags a dose of kind of like water insoluble fertilizer, and these to me don't look as deep green as some of my plants that I have not done that with. I would say even, and this could partially be the pollen, even with the spinach, I'm kind of seeing, like, compared to my other spinach plant, it kind of wiped out some of the color. So I really want to try to stick to using, I guess, maybe slightly higher doses of my water insoluble fertilizers, because I feel like the plants are a lot deeper, a lot greener with using those. So here are my pea plants, and if you guys can see, I put up my little ladder mesh blocks. I use those for like trellising for the grow bags, for things that don't really need like super weighted, that are not super weighted, but I put them up. The peas have like grown up quite a bit, and I probably could have put these up sooner, but I did not. I just put them up yesterday, so I'm hoping that that will give these plants just a little bit more room to kind of thrive and, fill out and get us ready for a little bit of prettiness in the garden over the next few weeks. In my last tour, I said I wasn't going to put anything else in this bag. I have since decided that I'm going to plant some cucumbers in here to go along with the green onion. So if you notice, I've been kind of clearing out the center of the bag, and we are a few days out from March, about 3 or 4 days or so, and I'm planning on March 1st to go ahead and direct sow the cucumber seed. I might even do it before then, because quite honestly, it's just warm enough. My parsley plant, who I'm going to name her Beloved, because I love this plant dearly. She is just performing out. She is showing out, okay? And this plant, no matter how small I cut it back, she understands the assignment. I think having her paired with the peas is really doing wonders for the parsley plant. I fertilize the plant, no problem. As long as I feed it, it grows back. As long as I keep it watered. But having those peas in there, like adding that nitrogen to the soil, definitely has this plant sprouting like I've never seen it before. We have our, what I believe is alyssum over here, that's starting to finally get some real true leaves, and it's going to be budding up soon. So I hope that I have some of these flowers ready, probably I would say by April. I'm probably going to end up having to get some starts from the store, because I do want to have some flowers ready. I still have not replanted my marigolds, and I'm pretty certain that the birds ate these, because all the little seedling like sprouts that I did have at one point, they disappeared. This plant never came back to life, so I'm definitely going to move this one out and get some different flowers in. My leek bag, you can see my little leeks over here. The ones that have been here are getting much bigger. The other ones are starting to get a little bit of size to them, and I do still need to go ahead and till up the soil some more. So I probably will do that in my beginning of the month garden tasks that I need to complete. We have some sprouting on the Tadorna leeks as well. So this is looking really good. And my little experiment in the middle, y'all. So I went ahead and direct sowed these Roma tomatoes about, I want to say what, 2 weeks ago? Actually, it's 3 weeks ago. So it's the beginning of February 6th. And look at what we have here. So this was through some of our cold weather. I planted them right after the last extreme cold weekend that we had. They sprouted They are definitely not where my plants that I started indoors are, but I want to compare this growth to the ones that I started indoors, and even though I transplanted those out pretty quickly, so I think they kind of will be accustomed to the same types of circumstances. I want to see how these do in comparison to the ones that I just start indoors, to see if it makes a significant difference in the growth of the plant, the health of the plant, the production of the plant. So I'm pretty excited that both of those came up. Now, in true, I think, new gardener fashion, I don't want to snip either one of those, right? I'm still going to give the plants time to come up because, you know, anything can go wrong. Maybe one of the plants ends up not being viable, but the bag, I feel like it's big enough to let both of them grow. So if they're both healthy, I think I'm just going to let them grow. We have our beet bag over here, and my beets are definitely heading up, which, you know, I'm happy about that. I don't know how much I was able to show y'all, like the round little tip there. Trying to get it to focus. Got to get my hand out the way. Yeah, I don't know why that's not focusing, but we definitely got some rounding, some bulbing, however you say it, for these root crops. This one is sticking out a little bit more, so while it's not as big, it definitely is slightly more visible. I don't know if y'all can see that, but I'm definitely excited about that. Our imperator carrots have definitely germinated quite well, it seems, and I do have some chives in here with the carrots, and right now I really don't know which ones are chives and which ones are carrots, but in due time we will see. So that's what's going on in that grow bag. As the weather has warmed up, our borage has started to grow as well. The tarragon seeds that I planted over in this little corner clearly have spread quite throughout the bag, and I think that's just because, like I said, the seeds were so small that watering them, they just threw them kind of where it felt like it. Over in this bag, these are my purple carrots, and like the Nantes carrots, when I showed you guys the last time, there wasn't a lot of green on these plants, and they have since really kind of grown up quite a bit. I was in here yesterday thinking I was seeing some lavender sprouts, but maybe not. So I may have to restart my lavender seeds and try that cold stratification method, but yeah, that's where we are with the lavender. Over in this bag we have our golden beets, which you can see have like little bulbs that are starting to form, and then our crimson giant radishes have grown up significantly with their leaves, so those should be bulbing soon. I'm going to go ahead and fertilize all the bags on the 1st. So I think I'm finally getting a rhythm with my fertilizing, and what I've been doing is kind of just like really fertilizing well on the 1st of the month, the beds and the bags, and then I'll do an in-between fertilize for just the bags, maybe like 2 weeks in, and that's been working pretty well. So that allows me to make sure my fertilizer is not leaching out completely, that the plants always have something to feed on, and then with the beds I just make sure I give a really good dose at the beginning of the month. That way by the time it starts to release, it's just a continuous flow of feeding for the plants. There's no breaks in them, and I've seen, since I've started doing that, which while it wasn't that long ago, since I've started doing that, I think that's where the plants really started to thrive. So on to our next bag. Rosemary is still looking pretty good. I haven't planted anything in that yet, but I will get my sage and my marjoram in this bag on the 1st. Our Meyer lemon tree has some really pretty buds on it, and our first one finally bloomed today. This bud was swollen so big, and I just knew it was going to open up pretty soon, so it's finally done that. We have a few more kind of like here, if you can see, as well as some down here that are kind of swelling quite a bit, and those probably will be opening soon. Now the one thing I will say about this is I had to like pull off a couple of leaves over here because they were kind of like dying and curling. So I don't know what that's about. There wasn't any, you know, like pests on them or anything like that. So like this is a good example. Like it's leaf curl. So if you're familiar with that, like if you have a lemon tree, let me know what you think could be the culprit for that, because I want to get out in front of it. I don't want to be losing all the leaves on my plant and it affects the plant. But that's just weird to me that it keeps doing that. It's kind of like leaf curling. So I don't know if that's just can't even say as the thing buds it does that, because that wouldn't make any sense to me, because it still needs to photosynthesize. But it looks like underneath this bud, this kind of leaf is doing the same thing. So let me know if you have any experience with that. In this bag, our daikon radishes, they're getting their true leaves now. They're looking really nice and healthy. Our rutabagas are starting to develop their first true leaves, and then we got some germination action on our fennel. So I'm excited about having the fresh fennel. Fresh fennel is really, really good. Our lime tree has been busy. This key lime tree has been opening buds like there's no tomorrow. You guys can see we have a lot of little fruits here, a lot of little fruit clusters, and I'm really excited about that. We even got a few of them that look like they're swelling, which is pretty nice. And sorry about the volume. Like, I have to turn the mic around every time, but I just want to say this like really quickly because I'm going to get back to the camera facing the other way. I'm so excited about having lemons and limes because, for one, lemons and limes are ridiculously expensive at the store, and two, you can't even always count on them having them in stock. So I'm so ready for my lemons and limes. That is like a staple. I usually have them in abundance in my house, and I'm ready. So the garlic is doing pretty well. I have not cut my garlic tops. I don't think I'm going to. If you're someone that cuts your garlic tops, let me know what you think the benefit of cutting the tops is, if you've seen success with it. You can see those two little stubborn green onions that I couldn't get out before, maybe 3. They've grown back since then. I have some butter crunch lettuce over here that I thought I pulled out, but apparently I didn't get the roots good. I have a weed growing up by my garlic that I definitely need to get out of the bed. And then we have our Crispino iceberg lettuce that I have a couple of them forming heads now. One is a little bit further along than the rest, but those look absolutely beautiful. We have some romaine, and I don't know if y'all can really see or tell, but the difference a month makes, and proper fertilizing. My romaine, the red one and the green one, they look so much better than they did last month, or rather at the beginning of the month. The celery has started to grow up as well, and I still want to propagate these plants because part of me is contemplating leaving them here, but they still need to be separated so that the stalks can actually grow as big as they're supposed to. I have some arugula that has started to bolt over the last few days because of how hot it is. And then over in the brassica bed, our kale is still doing pretty well. This grows back quite quickly. I would say I harvest these at least once or twice a month, and within like 3 weeks they're ready to be harvested again. The red cabbage, I'm telling y'all, I don't have a lot of faith in this red cabbage. Not for it to be done before I need to get these things out of here, not for it to be done before it bolts. And yeah, I don't know. If you have any tips about growing red cabbage, leave those down below. The green cabbages, they're still heading, and I'm hoping, like, I don't know what, that they do something and really actually form a solid sized head. They haven't had the room, honestly, to grow the way they need to. I'm well aware of that. Like I said, I overpacked this bed quite a bit. So I am expecting pretty small heads off of those, but I would still like a head nonetheless. The collards, these are the collard plants. So I have 4 collard plants over in this bed, and I just harvested these the other day. I left them on there so long because I really couldn't tell if they were collards or cabbage, but they are collard greens, and I'm going to leave those in this bed as well, but I am going to plant some things in between. I think that can kind of work around the roots of these plants in order to give us some more food. In this bed, you guys can see I've cleared out quite a bit. I've removed the broccolis that were over there. I probably need to pull out my cauliflowers because, truth be told, I keep trying to keep them covered, but the leaves as they're growing obviously keep snapping off, and I'm starting to see that purpling, you know, from the direct sunlight. So I'll probably end up pulling these in like the next day or so, next day or two. The ones that aren't gonna get big, you know, that's totally fine. I know the things that I did wrong this go round, and I'll be better prepared when it's time to plant them in the fall. And then the 2 broccolis that we have left, one, the head has grown significantly quickly on that one, and then this one hasn't really started heading yet, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. The collards on this side, they are starting to grow up. I think opening up that space has really done some good for them. The mustard plants are still growing, and if you guys can see, like, so this is what I'm talking about. I had this plant covered completely. I came out and fixed it yesterday. Same thing with this one, but it looks like they're just even starting to bolt. Like, this is the weather. It has been so hot here that, like, we had a high of 68 the other day, and the temperature for the actual day was 81 degrees. Like, how are these plants supposed to survive in that? So I think what I'm going to do, because it quite honestly looks like all of these cauliflowers are really trying to bolt. Tomorrow, because right now it's like midday and the sun has been out for a bit, tomorrow morning I'm going to go ahead and pull those out, and then that should give me the space that I need to just go ahead and amend the bed and start getting my other plantings in, because I think it's time, and these obviously are not doing as well as I thought they were. I have another arugula plant over here that is bolting. This plant was buried so long, so I couldn't even get to it. So it literally just was in there doing nothing the entire time. And then these are onions. The onions are looking pretty good. Some better than others. Uh-oh. We got our first like spring like Japanese beetle, I believe this. Oh, that's a cucumber beetle. Why is the cucumber beetle out here? We haven't even planted cucumbers, but this is definitely a cucumber beetle. He scared the crap out of me. But the onions are doing well, and you know, some better than others. So some of them I'm expecting they probably won't bulb at all, but that's totally fine. I think we'll have a pretty good harvest from these. And lastly, to the patio, so we have our pepper plants that are starting to put on their first true leaves. My tomato plants have set their first true leaves already. I'm still going to leave these in probably for like another week to 2 weeks, and then we'll transfer them out into the beds. I have an early girl that's setting her true leaves as well, and then these are some of my other peppers. I have more, no, this is a Cubanelle pepper over here that's kind of spreading its wings solo. I have no idea what this is. I didn't label it, so that's going to be a surprise pepper. And then on this side, our patio collards are looking really good. I just gave them a good water yesterday. I'm going to be fertilizing these plants as well this week. My green onions, you know, they are doing what they've been doing since the beginning. So really happy with those. The spinach in here looks quite different to me than the one outside. This one does have some plant stress on it, but you know, overall the color definitely deep green. The plant is still growing. I think it's responded well to this switch over. Our arugula and Swiss chard is coming up nicely on this side. Our cilantro is still hanging tough. I'm getting ready to start an indoor cilantro plant as well, so that I can have cilantro throughout our really warm spring and summer months. I have my oregano and my big leaf basil that is sprouting up, looking really good. Some more tomatoes that I direct sowed in here right outside, right in this pot, and they're coming up pretty nicely. So that's the Chef's Choice pink tomato, like the Margalo tomato, and then my Brandywine yellow tomatoes. I have some more peppers that are sprouting their true leaves over here, And then last but not least, we have our little strawberry plants, which are finally starting to sprout. So if you guys can see that, that is exciting. I do have some bare root strawberries that I got from Home Depot that I'm going to be potting up at the beginning of the month as well. So I wasn't 100% confident that those were going to come up because I didn't put the right medium in there to begin with, but I did save half the pack of those seeds. So when I do plant the other bare root strawberries, I will plant the second half of those seeds and then, you know, see what happens between both of these. But obviously those will get transplanted out. Anything that comes up and it's viable from what I planted in here will get transferred out with the other strawberries. And that is everything, y'all. So today is what? February 24th. We're a few days out from March 1st. We're starting to see our spring friends. Yay. Not happy at all. But I think the garden has changed significantly in the last month, and I'm expecting it to do the same every month over this like growing season. So I will be looking forward to giving you guys these updates, these tours, and I hope that you're looking forward to them too. I appreciate you spending some time with me today as we took our garden walk and saw all the new happenings here. And until our next garden update, friends, bye.